speaking at a forum held in Colombo last evening, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe admitted that government interference was the cause of losses suffered by Sri Lankan Airlines.
Responding to a question posed at a forum moderated by CNN's famed business correspondent Richard Quest, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe commented on losses suffered by Sri Lankan Airlines.
Aren't many of Sri Lanka's airlines' problems the result of government interference and meddling?
Well, certainly it was a question of government interference, and we have a debt of about $1 billion. We all have to pay that.
The Prime Minister's statement was reported widely in this morning's newspapers. Given the more than $1 billion debt burden that has been placed on the nation, it is important to identify who exactly interfered at Sri Lankan Airlines. The public will recall the manner in which an economic management subcommittee was appointed, going above the cabinet of ministers and chaired by the Prime Minister following the change in 2015. It was this economic management subcommittee, led by the Prime Minister, that guided the cabinet through all decisions related to Sri Lankan Airlines. SUREN, the brother of one of the Prime Minister's closest advisors, was appointed CEO of Sri Lankan Airlines, and the national carrier was administered on apparent whim and fancy, aggravating the burden on the country. It was during this time frame when the Prime Minister's friend and advisor's brother ran the airline that European long-haul routes were terminated, aircraft orders were cancelled with billions being paid out in compensation, and people who rendered no service to the airline were recruited for exorbitant salaries. And that's not all. Eventually, SUREN led the airline, collecting a major bonus for the months remaining on his contract, and took flight to Australia with zero regard for the state of the airline that was under his management. This should make it exceedingly clear as to who was responsible for interference at Sri Lankan Airlines. The manner in which the Prime Minister slinked, sidled and edged his way into not only Sri Lankan Airlines but almost every aspect of the state is still fresh in the collective public memory. In 2015, he was able to become Prime Minister without having a majority in Parliament. Immediately upon taking office, the Central Bank of Sri Lanka was removed from the purview of the Finance Ministry and placed under his Economic Development Ministry. He secured the appointment of his long-time friend Arjuna Mahendran as Governor of the Central Bank in spite of objections raised by the Cabinet. The system utilized for the issuance of sovereign bonds was manipulated, allowing for not one but two bond scams in 2015 and 2016. A committee of loyalists was subsequently appointed to cover up the scam. And that's not all. Fairy tale FDI projects were greenlit, including the oil refinery in Hambantota, the Volkswagen factory in Kuliapitiya, and the tyre factory in Horana. The Hambantota port was sold off to China, claiming some vague benefit for the country. A public-private partnership unit was put together outside of the authority of the Board of Investment. The lease of a building in Rajagiri for the Agriculture Ministry, which enriched friends and henchmen. Notwithstanding the economic impact of these interventions, it is also important to recall the HATCHET-JOB carried out on the governance structure of the country. Shrewd amendments and revisions were included in the 19th Amendment to the Constitution to curtail the powers of the presidency, rendering the country nearly ungovernable. Not forgetting the attempt to create another constitutional crisis by attempting to abolish the executive presidency when faced with certain defeat, claiming that it was called for by civil society. Given that the Prime Minister has admitted that government interference has led to the collapse of Sri Lankan Airlines, will he be held accountable for the many crises that have been caused by his interferences? Is it not the country and its people that he is humiliating before an international journalist and the local and international business community?